Would you like to be somebody who understands how Gandalf represents the Holy Spirit in The Lord of the Rings? Then listen to this entire video where I explain how the Son in the Holy Trinity needs to redeem the Father from decimation. However, the Son needs guidance in how to save the Father, what the truth is. And Gandalf plays that role of the Holy Spirit who guides the Son in order to save humanity, essentially. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's go. So first of all, in my previous two videos, I talked about how Aragorn represents the father, the culture, the structure, the system basically, and how Frodo represents the son. Now, the system, the culture becomes outdated. The king who was reigning before Aragorn became blind, essentially, arrogant and too proud, and was not able to defend the realm from this growing threat, which was Sauron. So the culture needed to be updated. A new king who was competent enough to defend and protect the realm needed to replace the old king. And the threat of the threat needed to be how do you say, removed, eliminated, and that is the son, which was Frodo, who went into Mordor, into the heart of the threat, faced it, and then threw the ring essentially into the volcano where it was originally forged. So the thing, and that's where that's the process of the son faces the dragon, faces the threat, slays the dragon, and then redeems the system, the culture, and updates it, and then a new father is put, or not a new father, but a redeemed father is then put, as on top, who protects the realm then. And that's the process of between the father and the son. And then now we're going to talk about the Holy Spirit, how that comes into play. So in order for the son to redeem and redeem the father, save the father from the belly of the beast, from the dragon, the son needs to know what is right and what is wrong. Because if you have let's say a society and it has a problem which is growing, larger in magnitude continuously, and nobody's fighting or solving the problem, then a son comes along, like the hero, and has the chance to save it. Now, in order to save it, the son needs to know what is right and what is wrong. He needs to be able to locate the problem, and in order to locate the problem, you first need to judge the problem as a problem that needs to be solved. So you need to know what is right and what is wrong. Hence, you also need to know what the truth is. And so the truth needs to be made palpable to the Son, and that is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit guides the Son, and the Holy Spirit is also referred to as the Spirit of Truth in the New Testament, for example. And you can think of the Holy Spirit as something that lies within all human beings. It is maybe your moral conscience. It's something that guides you towards what is real, what is true, what is right, and away from what is wrong. Something like that. It's quite, out of the Father and the Son, so the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is probably the toughest to get a grasp on, because it's obviously not an individual, it's more abstract. Like the Father is the culture, Son is the individual human being, and then the Holy Spirit is this guiding force. Okay. So, as I said, the Gandalf represents the spirit of the truth, Christ. So, for example, now I'm going to be jumping around a little bit because I'm still struggling a little bit well, not struggling, but to piece it together. But here are some ideas for you to understand what the Holy Spirit is. In, I think it's the New Testament, there's the post-resurrection instruction that Jesus gives after he's resurrected to his disciples, I believe he's speaking. And he says, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. So he's talking about how, I think, like, I might be wrong about this, but how the disciples should, promote the idea of God and Jesus and the truth. And he says, wherever you have people who believe in the truth and in the concept of God or Jesus or whatever, the Spirit of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, is present in the middle of these people, amongst them. And that's interesting because it's like, you have the Father, the Son, and in between them, the thing that connects the two is the Holy Spirit. Because these people who congregate in the name of God or whatever, these are sons congregating under the name of God. The Father, the Sons, and the Holy Spirit is connecting them. So that's an idea to play with. So the Holy Spirit is this guiding force which has enabled these people to come together and listen and try to live a truthful life. It's like that. And in the New Testament, there is a strong emphasis on the relationship between Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. Like, Jesus Christ, the Son, is guided by the Holy Spirit several times. So, for example, when Jesus is baptized, the Holy Spirit descends upon Jesus Christ as a dove. The Holy Spirit is often represented as a bird. And this is awesome. After Frodo and Sam throw the ring into the volcano, and then, it erupts, and they're sort of lying on this rock with the lava around them. They're essentially on the verge of death. They're just exhausted, Then Gandalf comes riding on a raven, or like an eagle, like a bird. And in that shot, you have the lava. It's all dark, and then from the sky, you see this beam of light descend upon Frodo and Sam, with Gandalf riding on this eagle, who then picks them up and then takes them away. And right after that, there's the scene where, big spoiler alert by the way, where Frodo is lying in bed and Gandalf is standing in front of him, and the light, if you look at the light in that shot, it's very bright, almost pristine and pure, like holy, and it's sort of like a representation of it. It's comparable to representations of heaven, how you'd see like it's all really bright, really clean, perfect. So there's something that's going on here. It's like Frodo was on the verge of dying. It's this death and rebirth experience. He's on the verge of dying. He saves humanity by throwing the ring, or delivering the ring, confronting the evil, the threat, succeeds, almost dies, and then is rewarded by this Holy Spirit that descends upon him, picks him up, and then takes him onto the next stage in life, where he is transformed into something in the direction of good. And I don't want to say he's in heaven then. He's not in heaven because he is still mortal or whatever. But that's a super interesting concept. So Gandalf is like clearly represented as this bird descending down onto the sun, and then taking the sun and guiding him away, or saving the sun in some sense. When the sun is helpless, the sun has done his duty, has nothing more to give, then the spirit comes down and takes him. And that's also comparable to Harry Potter, where in the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter is injured by the basilisk, by this threat, this devil, this evil thing, and this monster. And then the what do you call it? The phoenix comes down, sheds a tear onto the wound, and heals Harry. And then Harry is transformed, basically. So it's like a death and rebirth experience where the bird comes down and saves you, sort of, or transforms you. Anyway. So that's one thing. And then the Holy Spirit also leads Jesus Christ to the desert to be tempted by the devil. And Gandalf guides and tells Frodo to go to Mordor and confronts Sauron, essentially. It's the same thing. So Gandalf here, the Holy Spirit, is guiding Frodo towards what is needed to redeem the Father from decimation, from being destroyed. It's confronting the threat. So he he tells Frodo to go to Mordor and confront the devil, just like Jesus went to go and confront the temptations offered by the devil. And obviously Frodo is also frequently tempted by the ring, and in the end he's actually he's not capable of throwing the ring into the lava. Smeagol then comes and like jumps on his back and is like going all rodeo on Frodo, but then Smeagol bites off the finger of Frodo, and then but Frodo was tempted there, and he actually failed, which is very interesting. Anyway, and now Gandalf is also, one needs to know, he's the oldest character, I think. I might be mistaken, but I think I read that he's the oldest character of the characters in the Lord of the Rings narrative, or the characters you see. And that's interesting because the Holy Spirit is this idea that it's present within all humans. So if Gandalf was alive when everybody else was alive, he was present in all people's lives during their lifetime. So he was always there, it's like the Holy Spirit rests above you and is connected to all people. So he's in everybody's life. That's also interesting to think about. And generally, Gandalf is continuously revealing wisdom and knowledge. For example, he tells Pippin about how the kings of Gondor became proud and arrogant and were worshipping their ancestors, the ancestors who were old and the old culture, instead of encouraging the new generation of kings. He's always revealing this knowledge and truth and teaching. So he's that guiding figure. He's like the wise old man who teaches the young generation and guides them to what is good, what is true. So in conclusion, Gandalf represents the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit is what guides the Son towards the truth, and that's needed to save the Father from being destroyed and from chaos exploding. He's the guy, he guides Frodo towards what is true, what is needed to save the Father, save the culture, save humanity, which is entering into the unknown, entering and confronting the enemy, the threat, Sauron. And that is like an archetypal narrative, which is guided then by the Holy Spirit. Yeah, and Gandalf is clearly represented as the Holy Spirit, as he's, at least in Return of the King, he's Gandalf the White, this pure, figure who rides on this bird, this which is like a dove. I mean, it's not a dove, but the Holy Spirit is represented as a dove, and Gandalf is riding on this eagle where beams of light are shining down. Yeah, so and it's important to know this, because if you want to act out a hero archetype or be the son that redeems the Father, you need to listen to the truth. You need to listen to this Holy Spirit. That is, maybe it's the moral conscience, maybe it's more something else, it's something you just feel. It's listening to how you feel, because the Holy Spirit is within you. Yeah. So please leave a comment below whether you think Gandalf, whether you agree with me or not, whether Gandalf represents the Holy Spirit or not in the Lord of the Rings, and whether you think whether you know any other examples of how Gandalf represents the Holy Spirit or not. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.